What's up, readers? What is the worst hobby for getting friends? As an introvert, the worst question I can get asked in a social gathering or setting is, what are your hobbies? This is a trick question. There are socially acceptable answers that can move the needle in type of friendships or relationships you want with a person. There are niche hobbies you have that won't move the needle at all. It's just a very niche hobby, an unorthodox hobby to have, that it won't lead to any further conversation. So I'm going to go through other hobbies I've had, and some I still do to this day, but some of them I've abandoned due to time constraints. Starting off with the basis of my entire channel and the worst hobby on this list, I believe, which is reading manhwa. Reading manhwa is a very niche and unorthodox hobby that most people do not have. Usually it's under the same umbrella as reading comics, but then within reading comics, another subgenre is reading manhwa, which are Korean comics, and I've grown to enjoy over my time on Webtoon and other apps. But nobody around me reads manhwa, so it's a hobby I don't usually disclose in public because the chances of somebody around me reading manhwa is probably less than 1%. This is why I'm glad some manhwa are getting animes, so they're getting more known about, like Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling is probably the biggest manhwa that became an anime that has done very well, so maybe that term is now known to some people, but it's still a very niche hobby to be doing. Gym goer. A gym goer is a pretty S tier hobby to have. I used to try to make this a hobby. That's why I made it a daily thing to go to the gym, but it never sticks long, and I never understand the science behind it. You do legs this day, you do arms that day, you do splits or whatever. Usually my only purpose with the gym is just to stay healthy, and I'm a blessed guy that I don't really need to do much to be healthy. I'm pretty slim, but I did try to make the gym a hobby of mine by trying to do it daily. It didn't stick well, so I don't really consider it a hobby, but it is a pretty good hobby to have. It's pretty much a necessity. You need some sort of physical activity to stay healthy, to stay alive. If not, you'll probably be obese and might end up in 600-pound life. So the gym is pretty much a necessity. So if you can also make it a hobby, it's a goated hobby because you gotta stay healthy, you gotta stay fit. Playing video games. Now this is a pretty big hobby I've had, but I've cut down a lot. I used to play a lot of PC games, and honestly, there was a time of my life that PC games were my 9 to 5. I would just clock in the morning, afternoon, and just play it all day, and the whole day is gone like that. Most games fall under this category of just taking up your time and giving you nothing in return. But if you do have friends that play the same game you do, maybe you can gain friends that way. But yeah, most of the times it just leads in a massive time waste. That's why you need to pick the games you like wisely. If it's a popular game or social game, then yeah, you're gonna get a couple friends, but it'll be the friends will just be on the basis of just that game. But there is one game that is an exception to this rule. One very interesting game, and that's the next thing on this list: Roblox. Roblox is a crazy game, man. I played it a while ago, back when it was still in its training wheels and there were not that many options. But if you can imagine any game right now, it's probably on Roblox. If you're imagining the next GTA 6, you can probably find a duplicate of it on Roblox. It's got anything you can imagine. I'm even surprised consoles exist with the level as Roblox is now, with just any game you can possibly imagine. You got, I don't even know, Blue Lock, NBA. They got duplicates of any game you can think of. So it's a pretty flexible and versatile game that most people would know the name of, and most teens and adults would also be playing it, surprisingly. I know a couple people that played this game, Roblox. So it bypasses the limitations of casual games because it's so flexible. You can play so many genres of games: horror, action, shooting, fighting. You can do any game on Roblox. But when I used to play it back then, it was just a very few niche games I used to play, like Catalog Heaven. Yeah, Catalog Heaven most of the time usually. I really enjoyed that one specifically. But yeah, right now it's a different beast of its own. They've got like a full-on corporation of 16-year-olds making the next AAA games on there. So it's a goated system, honestly. Roblox is basically a whole ass console and game network of its own, and it's free. there's no barrier to it. So it's a good one to have as a hobby. Watching YouTube videos. This is a casual one. It's pretty classic. YouTube is free and it serves as people's TV. If you don't have a subscription to Hulu or some other shit, YouTube is always there for you. And I'm not usually the guy to enroll in subscriptions, so I'm a pretty massive YouTube watcher. And most people are. It's on you. It's everywhere, and you can get basically anything you want. You can get news on YouTube. You can get entertainment on YouTube with other YouTubers. You can get true crime on YouTube. You can get everything. So it's a one size fits all of entertainment. It's a pretty casual thing that everybody would know and understand. So if you watch YouTube videos, you can probably interact pretty well and make a couple friends if you have similar content creators that you watch with others. Making YouTube videos. Basically what I'm doing. This is basically a hobby of mine to make these type of videos, but it's a hobby I can never disclose. It's very niche to be doing something like making a YouTube video, almost cringe, but it has gotten more popular and well known since people make their living off it in careers. But it's not a hobby that you would be happy to disclose because it usually just gets you haters. It doesn't get you people that are mutually interested in you succeeding with the content you're making or going for it. It just usually just gets you haters. It is a little time consuming as it is a hobby I've been doing pretty frequently, from recording, editing, and all that. I enjoyed the full process, except the editing part. I never like to do all the editing, but the rest of the process is pretty fun for me. But it's very niche. People don't like putting themselves out there to get irritated and all that, since it can affect your personal life. That's why this channel is 99% faceless, so that I wouldn't, if I ever get famous or whatever, it would never affect my personal life. But that's highly unlikely since the niche I'm doing, manga stuff and other related things, isn't really a big niche, so I'm probably not gonna get big since the niche is very small. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Not a hobby you get any friends in. A workaholic, dudes that just clock in and work 60 to 50 hours. Their life is work. Just sleep, eat, and work. The cycle. I mean, they'll have pretty interesting convos if fun stuff happens at their workplace, but I'm sure they'll be pretty respected in a social setting at most times, since they have like a hustle mentality and trying to stack money and stuff. So people would commend them in a social setting if they say all they do is work most of the time, because they're trying to stack money and stuff. There was a time I wanted to work a lot more when I was in high school, because I was so damn broke and can't even afford snacks in the cafeteria. Yeah, but now that I'm older, I'm not really keen on racking up 50 to 60 hours a week. I want some balance, some form of life after working, because it's there's more to live for. So it's a commendable hobby to be working all the time, but it's not going to get you far, because that's all you know. It also limits you, because you wouldn't have time for other hobbies if you just work all the time. You'd be pretty linear. Watching anime has gotten a lot more popular. A lot more people are doing it now. But back then, it was a pretty weird thing to watch. Not that many people knew what Crunchyroll was and what One Piece and all those media was. But there's a big boom in it now. It's probably even like a mainstream to watch anime. Just a casual thing. There are a lot more weebs and stuff, so it's a pretty neutral activity to do, and you probably get 1 out of 5 people that watch anime in any social gathering you go to, especially if they originate from areas that watching anime is the norm, like Japan and stuff. Netflix is pretty goated, because it's got all the mainstream TV shows and movies that most people are watching and up to date with. So if you watch stuff on Netflix, you can probably make conversations and friends with people that watch Netflix, because it's a pretty casual hobby and that people do on their free time. I don't have Netflix, but I do find other ways to watch TV shows, which is a bit restricting because I don't know what's popular most of the time, but it's cool. I'm not really a big TV watcher anyway. I'm more of a YouTube watcher. I think, never mind, YouTube and Netflix are almost neck and neck because YouTube really has really blown up to be like a big way for people to enjoy entertainment more. Netflix used to be bigger, but YouTube is just caught up and they're neck and neck. But yeah, you definitely get people to watch anime. You can connect over some stuff you guys watch on TV and stuff. A social media addict. Now, this is actually a bare minimum. Everyone should have some level of social media awareness, because if you don't, you're gonna feel a little bit behind on the culture, the trends, and lingo. So honestly, it's just a minimum now if you're looking to make friends with others. But if it goes too far, if you're on there too long, there are negative effects. Can mess up your attention span for sure. TikTok is probably the worst of them. But yeah, a bare minimum of it really helps to understand all the trends, lingos, and what's popping in our lives, what's popping online. But apart from that, it's not a hobby that can stand on its own. If this is the only hobby you do, you're probably not gonna make any long friends because it's very superficial. The social media hobby actually, it strengthens other hobbies. It can't stand on its own. If you're a gym bro, it will strengthen your gym bro hobby, because you can see gym and other stuff. It strengthens every other hobby, but on its own, it's a very bad hobby. So with other hobbies, it's probably C. On its own, it's just in the middle. A bare minimum to live out in this world. Cooking is a necessary life skill. So having it as a hobby is a great social skill, because guys gotta eat, and if you cook well, guys are gonna love you. Gonna love to be your friend, so they can eat more good food you make and stuff. I will say it's a bit female skewed, but a guy having the skill to cook is pretty good too. I try to make it a hobby of mine too, actually, to cook. I used to bake a lot more cookies and stuff and try to do it daily, but the cleanup is tiring. The cleanup after cooking is very tiring. So it's not a sustainable thing to be doing it daily. But yeah, it's quite fun if you can enjoy the process of it and stuff. And it would definitely make you more popular, because everyone eats, man. It's a thing everyone would be able to connect to. Good food. Playing sports. This one's a little male skewed, but yeah, I used to play a couple sports, from soccer to basketball to football, but mainly it was soccer and football. And I will say this one is more location dependent. Back where I was from, soccer was the main sport. So if you want to be friends with other dudes, you gotta play soccer. You gotta mingle, and you gotta know what teams are playing, because that's what's happening in all the group chats. But here in the States, it's definitely basketball. Basketball is what you gotta know, so you can chat and mingle with other guys. But yeah, I used to dabble in soccer back when I was in Nigeria, and then basketball in the States. But I don't play as much anymore. Sometimes I just watch the highlights in basketball. But my interest in soccer has definitely faded over time. I don't watch it that much. It's definitely a goated hobby to have. Academic weapon. This is gonna be the friends with benefits. Whenever you're outside the campus, you're definitely nerfed, but whenever you're in any school or academic setting, you're Thanos, man. Everyone loves you, man, because you got all the answers. You got the key to success. So people will gather around you and be your buddy, so that you can help them succeed at the school. But outside of school, it's definitely fleeting, those friends you make. So it depends. I mean, you can definitely keep the friends after school hours and stuff. You gotta have another hobby on top of that. If it's only school, then yeah, the friendship is done. So going outside, touching some grass. This is a pretty good hobby to have, to be an outgoer and going out and doing stuff. I don't do it much, but it's something I want to be doing more. Checking out my local malls and just going sightseeing, window shopping. So, but yeah, most popular people have a hobby of going out. No, not popular. Most social people have a hobby of going out and hanging out, with others out. So it's a great hobby to have, to be an outgoer, see things, and bore. Anyway, that's the list. Peace.